Hey, what's going on, guys? It's David here from Genzio. We are here in Bangkok, Thailand for Devcon at the GM podcast. I'm here with Matt from Dynamic. Matt, how are you doing?
Great. Yeah, as I said before, a little haven of peace here in the
Yeah,
chaos of
yeah.
Bangkok.
Not a bad place to be. We're definitely enjoying ourselves as well.
Right? I had to rewatch The Hangover too, I think from 2011, the one based in Bangkok.
It's funny that you would reference that because I was just saying something about it the other day to one of them, like I had this, image of Bangkok, and to be honest, it's so much nicer here than they, presented it in the film.
This
Because
is
this is
true.
my first time here as
It's
well.
true. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and I imagine it has advanced quite a bit since that film as well.
You would imagine.
Yeah,
And the phrase, yeah, Bangkok has him now is
yeah.
quite the way to land.
Oh man, that is a good one. That is a good one. Cool, man. So tell me about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So, like we say, I'm Matt. So, I've been in Web3, actually unusual for people in this industry. I've only been working in Web3 around almost 2 years now. And
Hmm.
so, my background has always been in Web2 in harnessing the energy of builders. So, I worked as an engineering manager at Algolia, which does search. And it's a B to D, you could say, B to D to B
Yeah.
product where our customers could be developers. Before that, I worked at Twilio. And so we did communications, and their slogan was Ask Your Developer, which if you went to San Francisco and saw a billboard, it was plastered all over there. And so one day I got a message from a trusted friend who said, hey, you should meet Itai and you should learn about this because it's a very interesting problem space. And the rest is history.
Okay. And let's touch on your transition from Web
Yeah.
two to Web three.
Of course. It was very daunting, I could say, as someone who came at it from a technologist point of view rather than a degen point of view, right? To be honest, acclimating to the culture took the longest. It was actually the hardest part. The technology and the engineering, like we say, it's a beautiful problem space and it's something you fit right into, right? As an
Yeah.
engineer. But I took a long time to catch up to understanding the different facets of our builder culture because it's not just like in Web 2, we ally ourselves to yes, what is cool to build with, right?
Yeah.
And that worked at Twilio and Algolia, but here it's a lot more nuanced, right?
Yeah.
Even from the aspect of like, I don't know, you look at Berachain and you look at all of the other L1s and L2s, it's quite specific, right? Who you decide to put your hat in the ring for.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting. That's been the hardest part. The best part has been learning about things like, God, the potential, the endless potential
Right.
in ZK, in general. And then the frustrating part has been realizing that we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
both on the infrastructure side, but also in the way that we approach the market and how kind of niche our culture is and how we bring that back to
Yeah.
we're not, normies is a terrible word, but people,
Yeah.
people who are just, used to using things without any veil of, something being super special or cool. They're just used to using things, as Itai mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Just as he touched on, right? Like having people outside who don't even realize that they are contributing. They're
Right?
contributing.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
And the idea of, so I lead DevRel at Dynamic, right? And
Uh-huh.
you do talk a lot about how to build builder energy.
Okay.
And so we end up doing, we sponsor a lot of ETH Global Hackathons, and the energy is immense from people in Web3. But what we end up seeing is a lot of the apps that get built get kind of recycled in a way. So if you look at like the ETH Global winners and just in general, the projects that are successful, you'll have a few of like, get your debit card to run on crypto rails,
Yeah.
or transfer with a link instantly. Or now don't get me wrong, there's a few novel implementations of things. One I can think of is it's called Disaster, and it was based on detecting and responding to natural disasters better by using crypto rails and AI to incentivize agents
Hmm.
to respond and help. So that's really cool. But I think what we still need to solve in terms of builder energy is transferring it from, a lot happens on the infrastructure layer. It results in us being able to build a lot of front-end applications, but in their own ecosystem. What we can't yet do is take that infrastructure,
Yeah.
stick it in what Web2 already has,
Just expect. Yeah.
and just use the Apple App Store as we normally do, right? There's that big gap which we're still iterating on and pushing on.
hmm Okay. Okay. And talking about energy, I want to know like, what's your thoughts on the energy in the culture?
Yeah, of course. It seems boundless. Like the hype cycle is also easy to harness and hard to hold on to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. Totally. Yeah.
And I don't know how you find it, but to me, being absolutely honest, sometimes waking up to crypto Twitter is exhausting and exciting at the same time. And so dealing with, yeah, you need to obviously conserve your energy and not. It took me a long time to learn to not take every hyped token or
Yeah.
technology so seriously and jump on it. Now, there are obviously
Yeah.
outlasting ones, like Farcaster is a great example of a trend which is building on itself. But in terms of energy, yeah, it's been tough to conserve it and know where to put it so that we can build sustainable
Uh-huh.
projects, right?
Yeah.
We have this ethos of let's effing go. And it's very often, put before the build,
Yeah.
whereas as Base has been advocating recently, like let's effing build. And the rest will happen along the way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Farcaster.
Right.
What's your thoughts on Farcaster? You're a Farcaster user.
Yes, again, it's a wonderful place, as you say. And are you as well?
No, personally, I'm not.
There we go. Yeah. So, any reason for that, or is it just
No, just maybe just haven't embarked on that journey yet.
right?
But never say never.
Good point. Yeah. So about the never say never part, there is extra friction
Yeah.
in getting another count, in checking another place.
Yeah.
And the payoff of it right now, if you're in crypto, is huge because it's your community. It's where you can learn about things first and engage with them. I'm a big fan of it, but I do feel it's sometimes detrimental in that it's again splitting us out into this separate cohort of things where if you use crypto, you better use this set of apps in this ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, good and bad. I don't know if we've seen it like in previous tech cycles, or if it kind of, maybe that's our playground,
Uh-huh.
right? And maybe over time it'll converge again into just, once we can bring frames, right?
Yeah.
To Twitter or to whatever else, it'll converge. Maybe we do need that playground of, it's just us, we're iterating, we're having fun, and there's a lot of in language, which is necessary for this group and this culture.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And outside of that as well, what are some of your favorite apps?
Yeah, of course. Farcaster probably
Yeah, okay.
is one of the main ones. Actually, I'm trying to think of like what's a good intersection between usefulness, utility, and entertainment, because often it veers more just on the entertainment side, which is short term. Obviously, dynamic would power a lot of everything, so
Yeah.
you kind of pick and choose.
Quite dynamic.
Indeed.
Yeah. No
But-
pun intended.
No. You know what? It's being able to mint your Lamborghini. Actually, through Animoca and their project. I think it's released today, the mint.
Okay.
Depending on when you're watching this, you can go and get one.
Shout them out.
You can go
Yeah.
and mint a Lamborghini, a virtual one, and it's transferable across different games. And so that's a very, for me, like using things like that where you can, places which were silos are now able to work together without causing too much competitive friction, right? So if you have multiple Web3 games which involve a car, being able to bring your minted Lamborghini with all of its whatever tuning and Lamborghini substitute for whatever your in-game items with you is super, super cool. And so the apps I like the most are ones which give you a sense of like how could we say, building on one part of your identity. So like the Lamborghini one, that's your gaming identity, and you equip items and you build on those items and you take them with you. And then Farcaster is building on your social identity. You build up that social capital for yourself, and then you can interact with Web3 at large through frames and stuff. So there will be these kind of pieces of your identity, and we'll probably see, chains build up around your gaming identity, your social identity, any other, like your actual utilitarian identity, the things which you actually need to do, like call a taxi, right?
Yeah.
All of those things are super interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. And I'm a fan of Lamborghini as well. So
It's hard not to be.
it's hard not to be, right?
Also, if you can technically own one, if we can go
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
far.
You own what you can't have. But like I said before, never say never.
Never say that.
You know?
By this time next year, we might
That's
be
right.
recording this in your real one.
Hey, why not? Why not? In your adventure from Web 2 to Web 3,
Yeah.
what are some, trends that you've noticed maybe that are different or some things that, come up?
Good question. Really good question. So I was writing an article yesterday on the difference between product market fit and what we briefly touched on at the beginning, which is here product culture market fit.
Yeah.
Right. And we obviously have the battle for users on chains, because every new L1 or L2 which launches, it will live or die by the number of not users in the beginning, but developers.
Yeah.
More developers, more apps, more users, more traction, more developers. And it keeps going. Interestingly, though, as we said before, developers are acting like consumers.
Yeah.
Right? When, let's say, Berachain launches, which is a customer of Dynamic, their foundation is not just technology, but I don't even know how to describe. How would you describe their beautiful culture of memes? And it's so rich.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily used to attract end users. It's building interest from developers who align. So seeing developers as a consumer class, right? We always talk about consumer crypto, when actually developers are the first and foremost consumer. So that's very different to Web 2, I feel. That emphasis on you as a unique person, what you align with, and then you build with what you align to, your values, and you kind of,
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying because, personally, I can see it from myself, right? When I come to one of these conferences and we talk to these people, right? It's like they're developing, but they're also, like you said, the highest consumer.
True, also, yeah.
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 And that's across all projects, right? Not only their own, but they're also engaging in others. And
that's a good point. Yeah. In that, obviously, we are users.
Yeah.
As well,
Yeah.
as well. So we're within that unique ecosystem where we use what we build what we use.
And also, I'm going back and forth with this Web 2, Web 3 thing, but in terms of community building, have you noticed that it's such more important in Web 3 rather than in Web 2?
So much
more.
Right?
Building the community and engaging in other communities and integrating yourself, whether it's your project or
True. Yes, indeed. People start to align pretty much exactly as you said. People will have to start aligning on a stack.
Yeah.
Not necessarily specific technology. As we move towards a chain abstracted, wallet abstracted world, people will need to begin to align with a kind of opinionated viewpoint on what this world should look like. So they, as developers, you could say, I want to build on an abstracted world where I'm going to use the things which care as much as possible about good UX and abstracting away all of the complexity. Or you might align to the cohort which says, I want to build in a world where the stack is flexible enough to allow me to do certain things. And maybe that's not the most friendly UX in the world. Again, the compromise of usability and flexibility, right? Not to say we can't reach in the middle, but often you find you seesaw on one end to the other. Right? That's where APIs came from. We wanted a bit more flexibility. It's a lot more work to build stuff. So yeah, to answer your question, the communities will probably diverge on that front. And as we said, and as Itai said earlier, moving from infrastructure to consumer will also create a big shift, and has done already, right? In terms of, the community which aligns to, we're builders, we love technology, and we want to focus on that, as well as we want to be close to the consumer. We want to build things, obviously, which, we want to build apps. Exactly. So the difference between someone like building games and apps for the App Store versus I want to work on AWS. Two very different community strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing I asked Itai also is, where do you see it for you? Okay, where do you see dynamic in 5 years?
Yes. It's
Or
it's
where would
hard
you
not to.
like to see dynamic?
Good question. It's hard not to give a similar answer, which is why I'll pause and
Yeah.
try.
Well, I guess at the end of the
Yeah,
day, the goal and the vision should all be,
similar,
yeah,
right?
it really should.
There can be a personal point of view.
Yeah.
And again, to be honest, I think we do share personal point of views as well, which is why this is difficult. But ideally we so it's kind of hard to define, right? At Algolia was always so I did led a demo engineering team
Uh-huh.
there, and we were building demos, and our job was to not exist, essentially. And I think I'd like, if anything, theoretically, obviously there are practical implications for dynamic to not have to exist in 5 years, in the sense that what we do is so behind the scenes
Yeah.
that no one ever needs to know. And I think it's very much possible. Like, obviously from a practical standpoint, that just means moving away from how much a builder needs to know about all of the layers
Uh-huh.
to just sitting in the back, and a developer just goes, right, here's my crypto stack. I visited Dynamic, I do a one-click deploy like you do on whatever, AWS or other tools, and I have account abstraction, chain abstraction, all of this stuff. I have onboarding, I have auth, I have access control, but it's not necessarily something which I build, it's something which I configure. You know what I mean? And that would be a very nice world to live in, don't you think?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Totally. Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, no, I think, we covered a lot of ground. Just that, I think there's, as we say, untapped potential in
Yeah.
the technicality of the builders. It's been the strongest space which I've seen in terms of like how skilled engineers are and passionate as well.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, search was pretty good for that.
Yeah.
We had people working on vector search and vector databases, Pinecone. It was very complex. But here, wow, they're the best builders I've ever met. So it's genuinely a privilege.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you.
You too.
Yeah.
You too, man.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Genzio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a
How
hive.
many know we do not understand that we need not
Ladies and gentlemen,
Get back at the Genzio Media House.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.